to that apartment location. Almost 3 a day of citizens who live on that property or live near that property reaching out to law enforcement for help because of criminal activity. This nuisance action will not evict anyone. The terms of the nuisance action simply state that Peppertree cannot take on any new tenants and that current tenants' leases cannot be renewed unless and until there is further action and intervention by the court. The court setting, or the court date rather, is next week, November 29th. The nuisance petition was signed by Judge Dandridge of the Environmental Court at this office's request, working very closely with the Memphis Police Department and, of course, the mayor's office. It halts, as I said, any new business at the long-troubled complex, and its owners, Tesco Properties of Germantown, must now tell a court why the injunction should not be made permanent. Hearing is set for Monday in Division 14 of Environmental Court. Peppertree Apartments is the site of active drug trafficking and numerous crimes of violence involving tenants and non-tenants, creating a dangerous and violent atmosphere that poses a clear danger to the tenants and to the surrounding community at large. The apartments at 4243 Graceland Drive are across the street from Whitehaven Park, Hillcrest High School, and they are less than a half-mile from Creative Scholars Academy. The federally subsidized Peppertree property was built in 1972. It has 306 living units with approximately 1,000 residents. More than 90% of the listed residents are women and children. In 2006, this office filed a similar nuisance action against Peppertree. The court ordered safety measures such as decals for the cars that were lawfully allowed on the property, towing of any unauthorized car, an electronic gate system, improved lighting, and security guards. In addition, Peppertree entered the Safeways program, a collaborative effort of law enforcement, property managers. Peppertree, however, no longer is a part of that program because they failed to comply with the requirements for being recognized as a Safeways property. The new petition follows an investigation by the police department, the multi-agency gang unit, showing, as I mentioned, that between March 1st, 2020 and October 31st, 2021, police have responded to 1,649 calls for service at this one location. Those calls included 120 calls for shootings, 216 calls for guns, 40 calls for fights, 20 involving large gatherings of people, 8 for drugs, 8 for gambling, and 6 for robbery. The Memphis Police Department has also documented 2 murders at the site, 53 aggravated assaults, and 25 felony weapons offenses. Over the past 6 years, a Memphis Police Department officer who lives nearby has called more than 100 times to report shots fired at the complex. Police said one resident described the property as a war zone. Another reported bullets piercing his car windshield and headrest, and a resident of a nearby senior living facility said that residents often sleep on the floor to avoid being hit by stray bullets. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Strickland and Chief Davis for comments.
Thank you, General. I want to thank District Attorney General Amy Wyrick and her team in partnership with the Memphis Police Department for getting this court order and for pursuing this in court. What General Wyrick just laid out is absolutely unacceptable. It's unacceptable for the people who live in the units and the people who live nearby. The entire Whitehaven community is concerned about what's going on there. Over 1,600 calls in a year and a half. All those calls are attached to the court's petition, which you can get a copy of, and it's 200 pages long, which is unusually long for an exhibit to any kind of petition. The owners of this property must know that we will hold them accountable for the safety of their residents and for the nearby residents. They've not paid attention thus far, but the courts, the district attorney's office, and MPD will get their attention. To follow up things that we have to work on, we will work with the Memphis Housing Authority and our city's housing community development to help the residents whose leases cannot be renewed find quality, affordable housing elsewhere. Secondly, city code enforcement will conduct a thorough inspection of this property in the very near future. So we may have to pursue code enforcement violations also. Now, Chief Davis.
Good afternoon. The Memphis Police Department is elated that this nuisance action is being taken out by our District Attorney General. This is a property that has been a nuisance not just to the Memphis Police Department, but for those residents that actually live in the property, those neighbors that live around the property, and even the school that's nearby. We have responded to numerous calls, as has been said already, and numerous resources have been spent at this particular location. It's unsafe, and the activity that is going on at Peppertree Apartments must stop. We are excited and we're supportive of this action and look forward to seeing a much safer environment and a better quality of life for those individuals and businesses that are in the area. Thank you.
Any questions about this?
I have a question. What message do you think this sends to the community? Because there are other property owners that ignore the, things that they need to do to keep their tenants safe as well.
We work very hard in this office and in conjunction with the mayor's office and the Memphis Police Department to recognize those properties and take the action that the law allows us to take. I hope any other property owner in town is listening to this and understands that we're not going to tolerate it. It's ridiculous that this location has been the site of this many calls for service for the Memphis Police Department, that it has been the topic of this many conversations among the community. It's just not fair to the women and children that make up the majority of residents in that area. And it's not fair to the schools and the senior facility across the street. If you're going to own property in this community, you're going to make sure that you're doing everything you can to make it safe. And if you're not, we're going to use the laws to send a message.
What other steps has the city and your office taken up until this point? And what has specifically MPD done in the last couple of years?
Oh, sure, yes.
I'll just add that I've been to this property several times. During our weekly crime fighting meetings and discussions, this is a property that has been on our radar for a long time because of the number of calls that our officers respond to, whether it's gun violence or whether it's drug activity. So we have increased patrols in that area. There has been numerous times that I've actually driven by and our officers are literally sitting on the lot just to try to quell some of the problems that exist there. So it's been directed patrols, working with the resident managers at that particular location, helping with camera equipment and lighting and all of those other types of measures that really help to curtail crime. Sometimes it's the environment, the darkness, people loitering and standing around in locations like that and even, quite frankly, selling drugs. So our presence and our visibility has helped to quell some of it, but when the police leave, then the crime continues.
And, it's been this topic, as I said, of a nuisance petition in 2006, and there have really been ongoing lines of communication with this office, with law enforcement, with the management group that owns the facility. We've all been out there working with them. They tried to comply with the requirements of Safeways. We all know that Safeways works, and it's something that we have requested that they try to accomplish, to be certified as a Safeways property. We understand that the way it's designed and laid out makes it, difficult and poses some challenges, but at the end of the day, owners have to do their part as well. Yeah.
For those who may not be able to renew their lease, can they expect some type of assistance?
Yeah, as Mayor Strickland mentioned, yes.
Yeah, like we did with Warren and Tulane, we're going to work with our Memphis Housing Authority and our Housing Community Development to help those residents as their leases come to expire to find good, quality, affordable housing.
Are there other apartment complexes that are sort of on your radar here?
Yes, we're not going to talk about that right now, but yeah, we were just talking in preparation for this hearing. We talked about another apartment complex. We are looking at all the requirements needed to bring one of these actions, and the level of calls and the severity of crimes is certainly a factor.
What will happen at the hearing next week? I know you said they'll present their evidence. What action could or be taken after they do that?
Well, that's up to Judge Dandridge to listen to the state's presentation, listen to our prosecutors present what we have, and then listen to their case. So there's a full gamut of options and responses that could be made by Judge Dandridge, but that's really up to him at this point. All that's happened is that we've taken our preliminary case to him. He has said, yes, that's enough. Go out, serve the petition on the owners, and send them the message that they cannot take on any new tenants right now, and then we'll litigate the rest in court.
Considering
Yep.
the previous nuisance complaint, could these owners face criminal charges at some point?
I don't know. You know, it's one of those things that we've taken the evidence as we've gotten it to prepare for this step, to take this very important next step to get protection for those tenants, to send that message to Tesco. But, you know, certainly if anybody is committing a crime in this community, that's why we've got great law enforcement to look into it and laws to enforce. Yeah. Anything else?
Chief
Yes.
Davis, can you give us an update on the Young Golf case and if any of the other things are continuing?
No, this is not the forum for that. Thank you. No updates right now.
I'll just reiterate what we always say. If anybody out there knows anything, call police and let them know what you know. Even though you might think it's an insignificant detail, every little bit helps law enforcement solve that case and many others that are still unsolved. Yep.
Chief Davis,
Thank you all.
Speak to the community. There are a lot of just rumors and uneasiness, and they just want to hear from law enforcement about, you know, what's going on.
Well, we have sent messages to the community that basically says that if we felt like the community was at risk right now, we would have taken some additional actions. Right now, I think the community needs to understand that social media is fueling with a number of rumors and innuendo about not just this investigation, but about various investigations. But trust that we are working on this case, and we really don't have any updated information that we can share right now. But we're always concerned about the public, and we want them to know that we believe that the community is safe as it relates to this particular case.
Chief, are you
Thank
devoting
you.
any additional resources to that investigation because this is a celebrity, or are you treating it the same as you would any other?
Well, sometimes it does require additional resources, especially as it relates to federal types of crimes that might occur. So we may work sometimes with our federal partners and even with partners in other jurisdictions. But yes, sometimes yes. But it's not just because of this particular case. It just depends on what the circumstances dictate.
Thank you.
Thank you.